Singer, songwriter, recording artist Danny Brooks' website once claimed that the musician was sold out. S-O-U-L. The longtime Canadian bluesman has produced 3 albums in his Soulsville series. The journey of his soul is appropriately titled Miracles for Breakfast. Well, there are some exciting new chapters in this story. Danny, get up here, please. I can't believe we have this moment. And I had to remind you that we here and our viewers who prayed for you haven't seen you, most of them, since a very serious crisis that we were afraid might take you out.
Yes, last July in 2010, I had a quintuple heart bypass.
Wow. No warning for that one.
There was a brief warning, and that was in May of last year when I played at this club called Threadgills in Austin. And I just barely finished my gig, and I was out of breath. I couldn't lift even the lightest of things. My arms were very rubbery and even hard at the same time. They were pain across my chest. And I got to the truck, and I remember it very clearly. I just sprawled out in the truck, and I put my hand on my chest, and I said, God, am I having a heart attack? And if I am, could you please stop it? I need to work. I need to send money home. I don't have insurance. Please help me. And then about 10 minutes, just lying in kind of half like lying down in my truck seat, I said, God, I need to get back to the trailer park where I had my manager's trailer where I lived. And it was 17 miles away. And I said, God, I don't think I should be driving, but I can't ask anybody. It's just me here. Help me get back. And I was able to put my arms on the armrest and hold the steering wheel. And Debbie jokes about it, saying, you know...
Your wife?
Yeah, she said, you always say it was 17 miles, mostly highway, so you were going fast enough to hurt more people. I said, yeah, but it's easy to steer instead of stopping and going all the time.
You're on the straight road.
Yes, it was pretty well easy to drive back. And when I got back to the trailer park, my Texas mom, Martha, took one look at me, and she'd been through this with her husband. And she came to my trailer and said, Danny, what happened? So I explained everything, and she just said, when's your next gig? And I said, in 4 days. She said, you stay put, I'll take care of you, and I want you to start taking these baby aspirins. And she went and got them and, you know, started thinning out my blood. I didn't realize it. And when I got back to Canada, Debbie got me an appointment with the doctor, and then they discovered I had 5 major blockages, plus a 6th valve that they had to repair. And I asked the docs at the time, was I having a heart attack? And they said they couldn't tell because I didn't come in right away. And we recently...
But wouldn't there be scar tissue and damage?
Well, this is the thing. They said I had no damage to my heart, so their tendency was you didn't have a heart attack because there was no damage.
I know where you're going to go.
And then when we started the tour, we started in Clarksville, Mississippi, and we did a gig at the Hambone Gallery, and they're in connection with the tourism in Mississippi. And this was an ex-police officer who had several heart attacks, but the 3rd one he had, he knew exactly what was going on. And I told him about what I went through. He said, you had a heart attack. You had all the classic signs, the pains up your arm and feeling like lead, the tight pain here. He said, and I said, well, the doctor said I had no damage to my heart, so they didn't think I had a heart attack. He said, well, I'll tell you something. You not only had a heart attack, you had a miracle. Because they took half of his heart out. I had no heart damage.
Wow. I mean, just one more. I don't know. Are you counting them, Danny? I just wondered. The miracles. You're not exactly
No, because
them,
they happen every day.
Yeah. How are you living now on the other side of a, what do you call a 5 bypass?
Quintuple bypass.
Quintuple bypass. Yeah. Has it changed your life? Have you had to slow down?
I've probably slowed down a little bit, although if you looked at my calendar on this tour, I'm working harder than ever.
Well, excuse me, a few other major things have happened
Yes.
since you were here last.
Yeah.
You have a new title, a new ministry, a new home.
Yes.
What did you tell me I should call you now? A Texadian?
A Texanadian.
Texanadian.
Yeah.
Texas is home.
Texas is home, and it's
We're not giving you up, though.
my last stop before heaven.
Oh, boy. You're still as Canadian as they come.
Yeah, I'm a Canadian.
But a great door has opened for you.
Yes.
What's your town? It's near
It's
Austin.
Llano, and it's west of Austin, and we're actually south of Llano, and we're in the country, and we just love it there.
And you are shouting Reverend.
That's what
Danny
my
Brooks.
web guru calls me.
Seriously,
The
ordained
shouting.
by Gospel Crusade Ministerial Fellowship.
Yes,
His House Ministry
is the name of our ministry, yes.
is intentionally going into prisons and halfway houses.
Halfway houses. And you know what? Those things people can wrap their mind around a bit easier, but truth be told, the nightclubs. We were at a club called the Happy Cow in just south of Austin, about an hour. When we first walked in there, Debbie said there's only one thing wrong with this club. And I took a look at the club and I thought, there's a lot more than one thing wrong with this club. But I said, Debbie, what is it? She said, there's no chicken wire around the stage to protect you.
Oh.
And you know, I've since come to love those people and the owner. And
So you're still doing those gigs?
Yes.
Where you could get beer bottles tossed at you?
you know,
and-
when we finished one night, this lady came walking up to Debbie. And I tone it down in the clubs, but the message still gets out. And because you want to be able to get back in.
What
and-
you're saying is if you're too overt about
You don't-
Jesus,
yeah, you don't get-
they're going to say you're the wrong stuff for us.
You don't get in, that's right. And then
Exactly.
you've got no platform. So this lady came walking up to Debbie and said, this is your guys' ministry, isn't it? And Debbie looked at her and said, yes. And then she unfolded with a lot of problems she had, and Debbie prayed for her right then and there, and gave her advice to go back to live with her mom and her aunt, which she did, and we got an email from her. I drove home that night feeling, you know, we met somebody right where they needed to be met. And so yeah, as 2 Corinthians 2:14 says, diffusing his fragrance in every place. It's outside the church, it's in the prison, it's in the halfway house, it's where they go to drink, it's where they go to eat, wherever the people will congregate. And it's been a bit of a unique situation to be in for me over the years.
God's leading you in triumphal procession, as it says in the NIV for that verse.
Yes.
And you're wearing it. You're wearing your banner verse. Now, I don't want to be inappropriate here, but can you show us that
Debbie got
buckle?
this,
Look at this.
she got this made for our, what do you call it, anniversary.
Danny Brooks, 2 Corinthians
2:14,
2:14,
yeah.
right there.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking just before we came to air. We've kind of skipped over this health crisis. There were some deep, painful, miserable places. Just tell us briefly your moment with the Lord.
Oh, that, I think it was the very next day or the second day. And, you know, you're getting, and my biggest fear, and I told this to Debbie, I said, Debbie, I've been clean for 24 years.
After how many years of addiction to
Yes,
heroin
and I
and
said,
cocaine?
now they're going to be giving me
Drugs.
morphine and Oxycontin and pray. I need prayer. I don't want to start my body, you know.
Gravitating back to that
Yes, and
experience.
so anyways, I remember, I think it was the very next day when I knew what I was on, I said, take me off the Oxycontin. What are we going to give you? I said, just give me morphine, no Oxycontin. And so I got off the Oxycontin, and either later that day I was lying, and I'm moaning, and the lady next door is moaning, and
in the hospital.
yes, and I there was nothing everything in my body and mental, I was in anguish. I was feeling sick. I was in pain. My head was muddled because of the drugs. I couldn't get comfortable. I was aching all over, and I just said, oh God, this is worse. This is as bad as hell. I might have said worse than hell, I don't know. And all of a sudden in my mind things got silent, and then I heard this little quiet voice saying, no, Danny, it's not worse than hell. Hell is much worse. And I remembered, oh God, I don't want anybody to go there. If hell is worse than this is horrible. And I remember as I was starting to mend a bit, that thought came back to me of how brutal and utterly despicable hell must be. And I said, Debbie, I got to somehow let people know that. And I think she was alarmed a bit that I was going to go over the deep end and start rushing around grabbing people
by the collar.
Yeah.
You've got to accept
and I
Christ.
said, Debbie, no, it's not that way at all. It was a good reminder. And you know what? It wasn't long after that I did get the ordination papers from the Gospel Crusade Ministerial. And you know, looking back, I think that was a very unique thing that happened, because it kind of set the bar that if I'm going to go into ministry, why? I want to tell people about the good news.
This is a love and rescue mission.
Yes, there's no need for anybody to go to hell. It is a real place, and it's not a place that anybody, you know, I know a lot of people joke about it. I did too, way back in the day, that I would rather go there because I'll have more friends there. It's not a good old boy gathering. No. It's ugly. I remember once reading, one Christian said, just picture the worst prison on earth and the type of people in that prison, and you're sitting down with them. We're talking about, I won't mention names, but the worst of the worst. That ain't going to be any picnic.
No.
It's going to be horrifying.
It's a place of isolation.
It's
not a gathering.
It's a
place of isolation.
situation.